Had a great day. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend also. Welcome to Cooped Up Live, should I say. It's just a daily-ish broadcast where I just talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. While we're waiting on folks to join, coopedup.com is my website. You can visit that at any time to see what I'm up to. You can also sign up to get emails from me. I send them super sporadically, so do not worry. You will not get spammed. Wherever you are on the social web, follow me. I'm Cooped Up is my handle in all the social places. Would love a follow, particularly if you're on the Instagrams. And then wherever you watch or listen to this, it is on my personal Facebook, my Cooped Up Facebook page, which go follow that if you don't already, YouTube Live, as well as rebroadcast in audio format on all of the major podcasting platforms for friends and such who want to just listen in the car while they're walking, whatever. Be sure to click the bell button, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever it is, so that you don't miss a second. You get notified anytime I do stuff. And with that also, because this airs live in 3 different places, sometimes I'll show comments. If you don't see them, it's because those people may be commenting in another place. I can aggregate them, but y'all can only see the ones on the platform of your choice. So, hey, Mama, how you doing? Hope you had a great weekend. Yes, so we had I would say it's a very active weekend. I did more things than I wanted to this weekend. Let's just put it that way. These days, I'm a JOMO, a joy of missing out. If I have a busy weekend, if I do more than like one thing in a weekend, I'm like, ooh, that was a humdinger. And if I do more than 2 things in a week, I'm like, man, social butterfly here. What is up with my hair at the moment? Man, that's the temperature, and I'll get to that in a moment too. My eyes are crazy blue like Dad's. They change. You know, it's so funny that my eyes, the kids don't believe it, but then I like show them photos and stuff, and they're like, how do your eyes change? I think it has to do with just the things around me, the clothes I'm wearing, the lighting, all of that kind of stuff. But you're right. They're kind of like a milky aqua at the moment. Because I have little yellow flecks, little golden flecks around the middle. So, or maybe it's just Dad revisiting you, Monica, in my form. He would never do this. My dad is. He could tell some stories, but he would not be as crass as I am. So, Todd is still out of town as well. I just literally like 10 minutes ago hung up on him from a FaceTime call. He is in the German Alps at the moment. He's at a corporate retreat for his new corporation that he works for. With the same company, he still works for Greyhound, but Flixbus owns them, and they're a German-based company out of Munich. And Todd is their chief commercial officer for North America. And so he's out there for some sort of bonding or something. And they're in the Alps, highest resort in Germany or something like that. I don't know. It's near the border of Austria. Looks gorgeous. He said it is so cold. It's like 6 degrees there. Very different here. Here in Dallas, it is. I was in the car earlier and it said it was 97 degrees here in the car. I was like, holy shit. We're already in first summer. You know, I always say that we have like 6 summers here. We'll have first summer, which is just like a few days of just super hot. Same, whatever the number is of heat, it is the same with humidity. So like 97% humidity. And then it makes the storms extra bad. We're going to get another cold front that blows through just kind of in the change. And that means I think they're coming in on Wednesday again. It's going to be crazy. And then it'll cool down a little bit, and then it heats up a little bit, and then it cools down a little bit, and then it heats up a little bit until we finally just hit just straight up inferno and hell's front porch. So anyway, in preparation though for hot weather, one of the things that we did was Claire does not have a bathing suit that currently fits her. And Claire, as a reminder, is 14 years old. She is wanting to be more mature than she really is in some ways, and then other ways she doesn't. And clothing is one of those areas where she's kind of pushing the envelope, but at the same time, she doesn't want to be quote unquote sexy. She wants to still cover up her body on certain things. So I will tell you, buying a bathing suit for a 14-year-old girl is quite an experience. And it is one, I'm glad I've only have a 14-year-old girl once. and then I will have a 15-year-old girl once, and then I'll have a 16-year-old. And by 16, I'm like, okay, you're on your own. You can drive your own car, whatever. Because we had so for example, por ejemplo, we are at the store. I think we were at Target at this point, and we're looking, and so we usually start in the women's section now because most of the clothes Claire wears are like women's sizes, small, extra small. I don't know what the number sizes are, but the that sort of thing. Or she'll wear like an extra large and a children's size, right? Or a girl's size. And so we go into the bathing suit section at Target, and I tell you, it looks so there are only two extremes of bathing suits for women. And maybe this is news to me, but not news to anybody else. You have Bo Derek and Pamela Anderson on one side, where it is, if it is a one piece, it is still barely covering anything. It like goes up to your armpit on the sides and down to cleavage in the middle, like just way too, or it is holes cut in it everywhere. She picked up one and she was like, because she wanted a one piece, she thinks, or something that just has more coverage. She picked it up and she's like, this one looks good. And then we noticed it has these big old like diamonds cut out of it and like strappy stuff on the side and all of that. So there's that. Or the Pamela Andersons, which are just the tiniest little triangles of fabric just to cover some areolas with some string in between it. Not appropriate for Nana and Grandpa's poolside this weekend when we're in North Carolina. Or they have, on the opposite extreme, they have bathing suits for Nana, which is basically Ina Garten style. Maybe who else? Margaret Thatcher might wear one of these. Not today. She's been long gone, obviously. But it was like, and Claire would be like, oh, I don't want to wear that. That's too much skin. And then show the other one. Oh, no, my God. That looks like an old lady in that one. Like, because the other ones are like up to the neck, up to the arms, up to that. Monica's saying she has swim leggings. We did not see those. And Claire's like, can I just wear shorts and a t-shirt? And in our pool, that's okay. But I also force them to take them off at the door because if it's not swim clothes, they stay wet too long. And just wrap yourself in a towel. We don't want to do that like if we're out at a hotel or Nana and Grandpa's house or anything like that. So, and then it reminded me of, Monica, you need to clarify this for me. I seem to remember when you were around this age, maybe, because I think I was driving already, because I think I drove you to La Plaza Mall in McAllen, Texas. I was probably 16, maybe 17, which would have put you at 14 or 15. And we went to the mall to buy you a bathing suit. And you wanted to have a black one piece. And both you and I were like, well, that sounds fine. What's so concerning about a one piece? And we got it home. And Dad, it was one of the few times that I think like Dad really, really, really put his foot down. Like got so mad. You were screaming at him. Why do you always, there was a huge fight about it. And now I think about it and I'm like, yep, that's the direction we were about to go. Although luckily Claire doesn't want to be sexy. But I do remember yours was a one piece and it was just like a Bo Derek style one piece. It showed off maybe a little bit too much. And you were much more buxom than the average 14-year-old. I'm here talking about my sister's tits at the moment. You were much more buxom at 14 than the average 14-year-old. I mean, you still are for the average, however old you are, 46-year-old, 45-year-old. But so there was that. And so then we went, so I was reminded while I was telling Monica or Claire about all of that. And she was like, okay, whatever. Tell me another story, old man. But then we went over to the children's section, the girls section, Cat and Jack, all that kind of stuff. And it's all so juvenile. It is so like rainbow sprinkles and unicorns and stupid things like Desert Dreams and stuff like that. We did find like a rash guard shirt for her there. And then we went back over to the women's department and bought a bottom, like a bottom, bikini bottom, is that what you call it? Because they sell most of them separate. That was news to me. Despite the amount of women's clothing that I own, bathing suit is not one of them. I was not aware that so many bathing suits are sold mismatched or not matched. Like you don't buy both of them at the same time, which I actually can see the value of that, especially if maybe you are a very buxom woman with a small waist, or you just have a really big ass and maybe not a lot up top, or vice versa, that you might want to. And Monica does not remember the fight, but my boobs are so big that anything shows cleavage. Yeah, I think it was more than the cleavage. I think it was the way the leg hole was cut also, because you're also leggy, because you're tall like the rest of us. So, and Eric is saying I could have done without the thought of Margaret Thatcher in a swimsuit. Yes, that cracks me up. I don't even know why. I don't have her written down on my card. I don't know why she was the one who came. Why today at 4:30 something in the afternoon, when I was talking about bathing suits, was Margaret Thatcher the person that came into my mind? I have no idea. Haven't watched The Crown recently. Haven't read Republican anything recently. So I don't know. But yes, the bathing suits. So we ended up getting like a bottom and a rash guard thing, but then I ended up just earlier going on Amazon, which is what I should have done in the first place, and found a couple, and I got her just like it's a women's, but it's like a rash guard tankini kind of thing. So, and I'm good with tankinis. Like she doesn't, like I said, she doesn't want to show stuff off, but I also don't want her to like be covered head to toe either. Just because that just gets heavy and all that kind of, and then I have to hear about it. What else? Oh, something I learned, back to the weather thing. Aaron, I know wears a denim men's button down to swim with extra starch. Yes. I always joke that the older I get, the more and more I'm sliding into the Ina Garden wardrobe territory. I love nothing more, and y'all know this, you see me in one quite often. I love nothing more than wearing just a basic chambray shirt, untucked, walking around. Like that is part of my uniform is chambray. Todd actually does not like chambray, and he's disallowed me from having chambray shorts or anything else. Chambray shirt is the only, how many times can I say chambray today? Is the only thing that I can have. That's the only, shirt form is the only way I can have it. I'm not allowed. I think at one point I had pillow shams in it from Gap Home. You remember when Gap had a home department for a while? And he was just beside himself. For some reason, he thinks denim is just abhorrent. I love denim. I don't ever wear denim at the same time. I can't embrace that whole Canadian tuxedo thing, but a lot of people do look good in it. I just think that I end up looking like, I don't know, my proportions are still not in the right place for that. And then LL Bean, Eddie Bauer, or J. Crew. Yes, J. Crew, my favorite bathing suits. That Chubbies and J. Crew are my two favorite bathing suits. Hey, Ruth, happy Monday. Yes. What else? Oh, I learned this weekend, back to the topic I was changing to, but didn't actually get to, is I learned this weekend that the sirens that go off when there is inclement weather, they're not tornado sirens anymore. They are storm sirens. So was it Sunday? Was it yesterday? Yesterday, I believe. The sirens just started going off. It didn't even look bad outside. It hadn't rained here, but I guess they air them county-wide, and because Dallas County is so big, if a storm is hitting just the upper northwestern quadrant of it, it's still here in the southwestern quadrant of it. Will throw off of our storm sirens. Well, I texted Carrie and I was like, "Why are the tornado sirens going off?" And she was like, "I know." She was like, "I don't know," because Carrie lives just north of downtown, in like the Turtle Creek in the Turtle Creek area. So she was like, but Pete Delkus, who is the weatherman here in Dallas Fort Worth, he could turn a weather forecast into a mini series. I love him, but he not sexy in the least. And normally I have like big crushes on weathermen for some reason, but not him. I just find him ridiculous. But Carrie was like, well, he just chastised everybody for calling them tornado sirens. They're storm sirens. So I turn it on, and sure enough, he's like, y'all just aren't keeping up. A few years ago, we started changing it to just storm sirens, if there's storms coming. I'm like, well, thanks. I don't know. Obviously, we did not get the memo, because he's talking about people. So here's the weird thing. People, when he does forecasts or they report on things, did y'all know that people still will call into the channel? They'll call into the station because they talk about it occasionally. They're like, earlier in the broadcast, we talked about this. We've been getting calls already about this. And I'm like, people are calling in? Who are they calling? Unless it's like his daughter calling him on his cell phone. I like, because remember they used to do that and they would leave voicemails. I don't know if they still leave voicemails or not, and if they're listening to them. I know I see it on like social, people commenting and such, but I just found that interesting. But anyway, storm sirens are if there are, I guess, if the storms are strong enough to produce hail or damaging winds. Now they call them that instead of just if there's a tornado. Well, also because I think tornado watch and tornado warning are different now than when we were younger. If I remember it correctly, and this may be news-ish, I may not remember it. Tornado watch to me meant, not to me, this is how I remember it being described to me. Tornado watch meant conditions are optimal for tornadoes to happen, for tornadic activity, that they may have. Tornado warning means one is in progress. One has happened. One is on the ground. They're starting to see it come down, all that kind of stuff. Like a warning was like, oh shit, you need to get to getting because it is there. Like the train has pulled into the station. That was the warning. Watch was just keep an eye out for it, basically. And nowadays, I think that they have escalated that. I think that tornado watch still means conditions are ripe for it. Ripe? Now I'm confusing myself. Are they ripe? Are conditions ripe for something? Or are they ripe for something? I think it's rife. That sounds more right to me. Oh my God. Did y'all know I said until they made fun of George W. for saying nuclear? That's how I used to say it too. Instead of nuclear. When he was, I think that's just the Texas. We do not have the market cornered on proper pronunciations of things. We add syllables, all of that. Because I said nuclear until he was made fun of, and that's like, oh shit. And how old was I when George W. was president? That's definitely college age. I was definitely around people who were not from the same parts that I'm from. Anyway, nuclear, all pretentious. But anyway, the conditions so tornado watch meant that conditions were rife for it, right? I'm going to stick with rife. We're just going to go with that. Please, someone in the research department correct me if I'm saying it, or just confirm. Either way, let me know. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, but then tornado warning, like I said, meant shit's going down, like it's happening. Hunker down, pray for daylight, that sort of thing. Now I think tornado warning just means we are seeing through the Doppler radar and the satellite and the all of the things. We are seeing that the storm has the potential to create the hooks, or they're starting to show the hooks that have the potential for creating the tornadoes, right? I think that that's what it is, which is way safer. I mean, to be warned only once it's bearing down on you, that's not safe, right? But they also still scare the shit out of you more often than not. Like and again, I said this recently, only this last like round of, not the one last night, but like 2 weeks ago, the last round of tornadic activity up here was the first time in my entire life that I've sheltered, because it was so loud and they were like, it's coming straight for Oak Cliff. It's coming straight for your house, Cooper. Pete Delkus was like, get in the pantry, Cooper. Yes. So Monica says she learned the same about watch and warning for tornadoes. Well, of course you would have. We grew up in the same house. I'm assuming that, though. And Matt is saying I was 26 when he was busted for saying nuclear. Yeah, that's entirely possible. I already owned my business at 26. I started my business when I was 26 years old. So, yes. So I could have been in a new business meeting saying nuclear, and everyone's like, still sounds like a smart kid. Or he's cheap. That also could have been it. What else do I have to talk about? Oh, roller derby. So the highlight of the week. Well, that may be overstating it. So it was fun. Let's put it that way. So we went to the roller derby on Saturday afternoon. We went to one of the noon bout I learned that they're called bouts. And I kept saying bout, and the kids kept rolling their eyes and groaning and being like, okay, you know everything. You call it a bout. Because he was like, they're like, let's call it a match or a game or whatever. So we were in a tournament, and each individual match or game is called a bout. Like boxing, like a boxing. It's still a boxing match, but what's a bout? Bout is something in boxing, isn't it? I think it is. Yeah. Research department, pull it up, please. So it was the Dallas Clover Derby tournament hosted by the Dallas Derby Devils. That's the local team here. All women's roller derby. And so, but it is hosted out at a place in North Richland Hills. And if you don't know where North Richland Hills is, you basically go to DFW Airport, and then you keep driving like another 20 minutes west. You're basically squatting on top of Fort Worth, Texas. Because I know coming back, we ended up cutting through Fort Worth to come back. So it's effectively an hour to get there. So we drove an hour to get there. We got there about 15 minutes before the bout, checked in, got our things. By the way, tickets were $25 a person. And I pre-bought one for Todd. So it was, and he's out of town. So it was $100 to get there. And we're there, and it is fun. So we see him warming up and all that stuff. And we're like Googling, what are the rules of this? How do you score? Like, we were such not newbies that we didn't even know how you score in a roller derby bout. And the way you do, by the way, is one person has a star like on their helmet. They put this thing over it. There's a star, and those are the two people that are going around and around and around and trying to break through all the people fighting against to keep them. And for some reason, you're required to go towards the fight. You can't just like zoom around it, because they weren't doing that. I didn't see that in the rules, but very obviously you have to do it, because otherwise everyone would. But you get a point by lapping the other person. And the two teams we watched were Dallas Derby Devils and the Pikes Peaks, who were out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. And the Dallas Derby Devils beat them something like 150 to 47 or something like that. So it was a blowout. We saw an injury hard enough where they had to call the medics out. Everyone took a knee. Everyone was quiet. There were surprisingly a lot of people there. So there's probably 10 teams in competition. So they each had their fan groups. They were there. There were just other fans like us who were there. They were selling merch, selling raffle tickets, all that kind of stuff. So we're in it, and a bout consists of two 30-minute halves with a 15-minute intermission, and they do call it intermission, which I thought was very sophisticated sounding. So you're basically there for an hour and 15 minutes for the active portion of it, including the intermission, and then before and after, that kind of thing. But it was a good time, remarkably strategic. So you walk in and you're like, this is going to be a bunch of freaks, because you got a bunch of people, and I don't use that word lightly, and I don't mean it like, I'm saying it jokingly. I don't mean it derogatorily towards these people. I am not helping myself right now. You saw all kinds of hair colors. They had costumes. It was kind of like a cosplay thing. Some of the teams were themed type teams. You saw just as many big girls as you saw little skinny minis. And I'm thinking the big girl, like regular football, I think that the big girls were the blockers and the skinny minis were the ones trying to squeeze through. They're like the running backs, sort of, right? And that is the full extent of my football knowledge right there. But so it was remarkably strategic in how they were blocking and getting knocked out and all that kind of stuff, who they were knocking out. I think they were required to switch out the jammer, I believe is what they call the person with the star on their head trying to jam through and get around, because some of them were terrible. There's one named Diamond from Dallas Derby Devils. If you're a fan of hers, tell her I'm a fan too, because I liked her a lot. She actually reminded me of Tawana, who hasn't tuned in a while, but she looked a lot like Tawana. And just powered through. Was racking up the points one after another. And then what else was going on there? Claire started Googling. Claire's like, this is what I want to do. This is, I need to get my aggression out. This is what I want to do. And then, by the way, it's all roller skates, not rollerblades, but this is what I want to do. And so while we're sitting there, like during the intermission, she's Googling junior roller derby leagues in the Dallas area. And I don't know. I think she found one in Grand Prairie. We haven't revisited it since then. We had a dramatic weekend. There was some drama at school on Friday, which I'm not going to tell you all the details, but there was a fight that Claire was involved in and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it was fun. And I actually let her have a mental health day today. She didn't want to go back today. She couldn't sleep last night. And she's had perfect attendance, and they're actually missing school next Monday because we're out of town. And our school's not out next Monday. I don't think so, at least. So I was like, well, fuck it. You already killed perfect attendance. Not anything that we really strive for in the first place. I was like, you can miss one more. You can miss today. Sleep in, because she stayed up late. She didn't stay up late last night. She just couldn't sleep. Like, she was tossing and turning, thinking about what was going to happen at school today. Now it's just going to happen tomorrow. But I told her, I was like, this is a one and done. Like, you do not get a replay of this. I'm trying to be the nice, cool dad, the one who listens, the one who respects them. So, what else did I have on my list to talk about? Oh, so we've talked about this before, but the text spam is getting so much more creative. So, everyone gets these, you get these random texts from people you don't know, and they're like, hey, and you're like, hi, almost always you don't know them, and they're doing it that all of the phone companies say, do not respond, do not respond, do not respond, because all it does is it confirms that your phone number is correct. Like, that's the goal of it, right? And they're not even trying to really like catfish you or anything. I mean, in some cases they are, but for the most part, they're not. For the most part, they're just trying to confirm a number, that sort of thing. And, but it used to just be, hey, or this number's not my phone. Who is this? That kind of thing. And most people are polite. They're like, oh, it's a wrong number, or I don't know who this is. I just swipe and report it junk, or swipe and report it as junk. But lately they've been getting much more creative. Like, I got one today that says, did I already report it? Oh, yeah, this is the one I got today from a 240 number. I don't even know where that is. I've been thinking recently, would you like to go see a movie with me? So basically asking me out on a date. And I have not done anything with it, but I'm not responding to it either. But I've been thinking recently, would you like to go see a movie with me? Sometimes it's like, hey, we're looking for houses to buy, blah, blah, blah. But that was interesting. Have y'all gotten any of those? That sort of thing. So what else was there? Oh no, that's just Paperless Post texting me next. But the ways they're all trying to get into our pocketbooks these days. And to what extent? Like, the phone, if it were not for spam calls on my phone, the phone function on my phone could break, and it would take me probably close to a month to realize that I have no phone functionality anymore on my phone, because I never talk on it. I rarely talk on it. I actually had to call a client the other day. And if I talk to clients, I usually do it through like a Zoom link or a Google Meet or something like that. But we were having email issues last week, and I had to call a client. And she's like, Cooper, you never call. And I don't think she ever answers the phone either. But I just don't enjoy talking on the phone that much. Anyway, that's all I got on my card. Let me look. Lauren Davilo. Hey, girl, how are you? I've been getting those texts, Cooper. They're so sneaky. I know. And I'm like, I just can't figure out the motive other than just to collect the numbers. But then I guess they're collecting the number so they can use it to try to call you for things where they're actually going to try to get your money. Occasionally I will pick up the phone when they are calling, because they're sneaky that they'll say, like, my mom lives in Caldwell, Texas, or used to live in Caldwell, Texas. So I'll get one and it'll say Caldwell, Texas on it. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's them calling broken down from a convenience store or something. 9 times out of 10, it is just a click and then you hear something. The sneakiest is when they call and they pretend to be the either Firefighters Association or Sheriff's Association. And they have every which way of trying to make you feel guilty about not wanting to participate. And I think you have to own a business, I think, to be taken for this one. But I got suckered into it like twice. And then after that, I finally read up about it. And it actually, they make a tiny little donation to like the local sheriff's department. Total scam. So don't do it. Another big scam that's happening in our neighborhood right now, and I don't know if it's happening all over the place, but there are people, it's usually a family, and they stand and they're holding signs saying like they're taking collections for cancer treatment for this kid. And there's even a picture of a kid on it, and they're super aggressive. Like they have other kids in it. There's this little boy who comes up to the window and he waves at you at the window and he's like, "Look at my sign." Like this, and you feel like a total asshole doing that. When Claire's in the car, Claire's my little bleeding heart about helping people about stuff like that. And I'm like, Claire, it's a scam. They're all over the place around here. They always look like gypsies. And it has been reported on that they are scams. Like, I'm not just saying they're scammers. It has actually been reported on here that this is a scam. So, but man, pulling at your heartstrings. I guess that's story oldest time, right? Anyway. Alrighty, well, that's all I've got today, and I made time. So with that, I'm going to say bye. I love you. It's important to know you were loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you so much. I miss you over the weekends and when I can't see you. I miss my therapy a lot, too. This is my therapy. Take care of yourself. Don't should yourself to death. No good comes from should. And I will see you tomorrow at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live. I did that wrong. Cooped Up Live. I've been doing that for 3 years now, and I think that's the first time I messed that up. How did I do that? Anyway, Cooped Up Live, should I say. Talk to you later. Bye.